Hello, good afternoon. Thank you all for joining me for episode 12 of season 5 of Black Writers Read. My name is Nicole Young Martin, and I'm the founder, producer, and host for this series. This is the very last episode of 2024. I really appreciate you all joining me this year for the live stream broadcast and your support across the platform. I am extremely excited to introduce today's guest, someone who I discovered on Instagram. I think it was sometime last year or so where Jennifer Janell and I kind of linked up. And over the summer, she published the cover of her latest book, For the Love of Lee, which we'll talk about today. And I was like, oh. And I was like, I need to have you on. And then I read it, read about the book, and I was like, oh, I really need to have you on. I, there, oh, like, and there's a question that I'm going to ask her during our conversation about the genre that she writes in. She is the first of this particular genre that we're having on Black Writers Read. So I'm extremely, extremely excited about that and to dig deeper into her writing and to that particular type of work. So let's go ahead and get started. Black Writers Read showcases, celebrates, and honors the words, work, and traditions of Black writers from across the country, across genres, across experiences, and across the African diaspora. Black Writers Read is a behind-the-scenes conversation into the craft and what it means to create as a Black author in today's society. Since starting the series during the summer of 2020, we've hosted 70-plus authors representing 10-plus genres from 5 countries and 21 states. Our platform includes the live stream interviews, the audio podcasts, book clubs, and curriculum development assistance. Find us online at blackwritersread.com. Today, we welcome Jennifer Janell. Jennifer Janell is a new women's fiction author who lives in San Antonio, Texas. She has a passion for writing spicy stories that resonate with readers, explore relationships, and offer an escape from everyday life. Her love for writing about flawed characters inspired her first book series. The Lee series includes The Year of Lee, which is available as a free ebook on her site, For the Love of Lee, which we'll be talking about today, and the upcoming Betrayal of Lee. These stories depict the changes a woman goes through when navigating the complex journey of single life, love, lost marriage, and motherhood. Jennifer's goal is to write relatable but complex characters that people love. Her debut book, For the Love of Lee, was awarded second place for women's fiction in the Fall 2024 Book Fest Awards. Jennifer is a wife, mother of 3, and a registered nurse for over 20 years. She has a master's degree in nursing informatics. After a year of masking childhood traumas with sex, alcohol, and self-destruction, Lisa Roberts is ready to embark on a journey that will break her free from the toxicity that has been holding her back from true love. Eliminating useless lovers is first on the list. I know what that's about. Whew. She bids farewell to the older, irresistible, but very married Mike and the younger, eager to please Roy, but letting them go is not easy and proves to be more of a detox than a graceful exit. Determined to rebuild herself, Leisha embraces counseling and even considers confronting her turbulent past with her mother. But just as her self-love journey gains momentum, Faith throws a curveball when Francine, a prospective resident at the assisted living facility Leisha manages, introduces her to her grandson, Carl, the embodiment of every woman's desire. Carl seems to be a perfect match, but there's just one thing holding Leisha back: his race. Clumsily navigating the pitfalls of adulting, Leisha leans on her steadfast friend, Jonathan, until his own troubles lead him away. Now facing life without his support, Leisha grapples with the risk of falling into yet another toxic relationship. Can she preserve her path to a better life, trusting that history won't repeat itself with Carl? Embrace Leisha's poignant journey of self-discovery, love, and resilience in this spicy women's fiction novel. For the Love of Lee was released in July of 2024 and is available on her website. So to learn more about Jennifer, her work, and to purchase a copy of For the Love of Lee, please visit her website at jenniferjanell.com. Throughout her reading, I'll be sharing the link to her website and also to her Instagram. For those of you who are new to Black Writers Read, here's the format of our show. Jennifer will read excerpts from her work, then we'll chat. If time remains at the end of the conversation, we'll open it up to question and answer with those of you who are joining us today. We have viewers joining us from both Facebook and YouTube. If you have a question, please feel free to include it in the comment section on the platform where you're joining us from today. I will compile the questions and either pose them to our guest following our conversation or insert them during an appropriate time within our chat. I'd now like to welcome Jennifer Janell to the virtual stage. Hi,
Hello.
thank
So
you.
nice to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here today. So, one of the things, folks, that are joining us today that I wanted to make sure to say on air that I said to Jennifer before we came on, I know Alicia Roberts. I look at her every day in the mirror. I'm not like that now, but I was like her at her age. And so that's the book is beautifully written, but that makes it even more so because I see myself and my messiness in Alicia. And
Mm-hmm.
I just
Mm-hmm.
wish I were as self reflective as Alicia. At her age. I'm self-reflective now, but I
Right,
wish I were
right.
more so at her age. So Jennifer, I want to thank you so much for writing this series.
Well, thank you. It was fun. It was fun. I think we all have a little Leisha in ourselves. So,
Yes. So I would like to turn it over to you to read. Happy reading, and I'll be back to chat.
okay. Okay, so I am going to read the prologue from The Year of Lee and also a little bit of chapter one. And then I'll turn over again and read the prologue to For the Love of Lee and a little bit of chapter one then. So, prologue from The Year of Lee. It's crazy how we make decisions or engage in behaviors that eventually cause feelings of regret and shame, even though at the time it didn't feel wrong or shameful at all. Is it emotion, impulse, or a twisted perspective that clouds our judgment and makes us overlook the consequences of our actions? Or do we rationalize and disguise bad habits and decisions as indulgences and well deserved pleasures? It could be as simple as saying things we really didn't mean, or as complicated as being with someone to only satisfy natural impulses and cravings. Even the most disciplined person eventually surrenders to the lure of instant gratification. Hindsight will trigger feelings of self loathing, anger, anxiety, and the all too common regret. Is, is so, this is where I found myself in a tangled web of situations and relationships that were not serving me well and eventually forced me to examine my whys. Chapter 1. Begin Again. Darnell's touch startled me as he grabbed my waist and dragged my body closer to his. I half heartedly reacted with a slight lean into him. The pounding in my chest was a reminder this relationship was more than over. I wanted to scream in anger, but even more disappointed in myself for falling for his bullshit once again. Wanting to avoid another argument that could turn physical, I gave in. The way he embarrassed me at the restaurant last night was the final blow. I was done for real this time, but I had given in to the alligator tears filled apology he conjured up when we got to my place, knowing he wouldn't leave unless there was some sort of reconciliation. My verbal acceptance of the apology wasn't enough. He wanted to have sex, believing that the great fuck would make me forgive and forget. On a regular day, fucking him would have been mind blowing because his dick game was superb. But mentally, he had messed me up so bad, there was nothing he could do to make my body respond to him. Darnell squeezed my thigh with his large hand, a reminder of what drew me to him in the first place. He was so kind when we met 8 months ago, but his tall, muscular physique was what captured me. He was built like a god, with midnight colored skin. After a few conversations with him, it was evident his face belonged next to the definition of the silver tongued devil. Did that stop me from making the obvious big mistake of fucking with him? Of course not. So here I was, plotting an escape. Good morning, baby. His voice broke my thoughts. Morning, I responded. He sighed, sensing my discontentment. You still mad at me? No, I'm okay. I lied. All right then. He kissed the back of my neck. I felt the bulge against my ass, threatening another encounter. He was trying to go for round two. I bit my lip to stop myself from going off. Damn, why are his feelings so much more important than mine? This is bullshit. Get away from him now. My mind was giving me a pep talk. You should go home. I have to work tomorrow. Another lie. Really, Leisha? You worked last Sunday, so you should be scheduled to work next weekend. His controlling ass had memorized my work schedule. Yeah, Michaela texted me to cover her shift. She's sick. He gets on my nerves. Whatever, Leisha. Just keep fucking lying to me. Immediately feeling defensive, I jumped out the bed. Are you threatening me now? You put your hands on me last night too, Darnell. You don't know me very well. I know that you'll fuck even after being done, so you say. He threw his hands up using air quotes as if I was a joke. Really? You were crying, snotting, and spitting all over the fucking place, apologizing to me. What you got was sympathy sex. Don't worry, you won't be getting it anymore. Now bye, crybaby. There was my way out. No forgiving this time. Getting it? Getting what? You ain't all that, Lisa, with your fat ass. You light skinned bitches think you're God's gift and ain't shit. He spewed, putting on his clothes. Is that all you got, fat, light skin? Newsflash, I know I'm not skinny, and I've been this color all my life. But what I will not be is disrespected by a controlling, insecure ass dude. Like I said before, bye. I dismissed him again. Darnell stormed out the door, slamming it. I took a deep breath and cursed myself for putting up with him as long as I did. I was just tired. I was just tired of being alone when I got tied up with him. That was a huge mistake. My friend Michaela told me to leave him alone after the first time I was with him and bragged about how great the dick was. She said, if the dick is that good, you best get off of it immediately. He's nothing but trouble. She was right. He didn't give me anything but a wet ass and a hard time. His insults were always masked in a joke or an offhanded comment, and he had slowly erased the little confidence I did have. My weight had always been a struggle, but complete insecurity about it didn't happen till I met him. He always commented on my skin color as if being biracial was an offense. I actually consider myself as black because I never was accepted by my father or his family. My caramel skin and kinkier than straight hair was a badge of honor to me because most people didn't guess I was biracial. Regrettably, I was an open book with Darnell, and he used every doubt or insecurity against me. Okay, so that was from The Year of Lee. And now I'm going to go read from For the Love of Lee, the prologue, and a little bit of the first chapter. The belief that I was a useless burden was introduced by my father. His cruel words forced me into an inevitable path to find purpose and belonging. As I matured, the hunt for purpose morphed into the need for power and control. Between my thighs, I found the irresistible treasure, a power that was never useless or worthless. It wouldn't help me find true love, but love was the last thing I wanted. Love and attachment were just a means of great disappointments and pain. My past relationships consisted of lying, cheating, and meaningless sex, but securing the company of men remained my secret validation. The avoidance of a committed, healthy relationship propelled me in the direction of the toxic ones, which had a destructive impact on my life. Perceptions, people, and their expectations coaxed me into reckless situations at the expense of my morality. The bonds I formed were refined or ruined based on my perception of what relationships should be. I could easily say my mind played the cruelest reality altering jokes. It was time for a change. I had to break free from toxic relationships, reconcile with my past, and work towards a life that would benefit me. I set my self improvement plans in place, but the universe had so much more in store for me. Chapter 1, Self Control. Mike was begging for me to open my door. I've been seeing him for a while, but he was never meant for me to keep. Mike was a married man, and now he was here attempting to hold on to a relationship I never should have started. Alicia, please open the door. Let me talk to you. His knocking was relentless. Any other day, I would have opened it, told him it was over, then he would fuck me crazy, making me a fool all over again for another woman's man. The promise to let go of self-destructive things was at was a long time coming for me. Mike's dick was definitely a ride at your own risk, self-destructive trip. But now it was time for me to love myself, whatever that meant. I was trying to figure out what self love looked like. The last year had been a whirlwind of solicited and unsolicited encounters, friendships, and bonds. It had been a good year made by bad decisions. Last year was my why not? You only live once. What's the worst that could happen year? Now, the answer to that reckless question was knocking at my door. I paced back and forth, wringing my hands, confused about letting him in. Anger, sadness, and guilt clouded my judgment. I was laying in the bed I made. My mother always said, if I made my bed hard, I had to lay in it. Actually, the bed is what got me into this mess. The banging on my door became more aggressive. Then I heard my neighbor's door open. Hey man, do you mind? It's obvious she ain't home. I'm trying to get some work done. Jonathan's voice was intimidating. There was a silence after the door slammed. Thank you, Lord. I whispered and tiptoed to the peephole to scope out the hallway. No one was there. I ran to my balcony to see Mike walk into his car and watch as he turned onto the access road. The San Antonio heat made me quickly retreat into my cool apartment. It was hard being such a bitch, but it was for the greater good. I've blocked my blessings for too long. I laid on the couch, comforted by the cool, soft leather and the aroma of lavender room spray, and drifted off to sleep. The smell of food creeping through the walls woke me a few minutes later. Jonathan was cooking, so I decided to invite myself over. I threw on some cut-off denim shorts and an oversized t-shirt. My beer caddy was ready in the fridge, filled with 6 beers, and I added a bottle of chilled Stella Rosa to contribute to the meal. Jonathan was always ready for drinks. Hopefully, beer and wine was enough. I took a deep breath, prepared for the upcoming conversation, and headed next door. As my door shut, Jonathan's opened. I was wondering when your greedy ass was going to smell these pork chops. Come in. He eyed me from head to toe. I could tell he had already been drinking and was going to be more feminine than masculine tonight. He was bisexual, so this was like having a good girlfriend with a great male's point of view. He he also was a fabulous cook, and the apartment smelled like heaven. I brought beer and wine. Which one do you want tonight? Both. Damn, I knew about these two guys, but their persistence is crazy. Yeah, we need beer and wine tonight. He rolled his golden brown eyes, obviously annoyed with me. Jonathan stood 6'3", had smooth honey brown skin. His perfect lips highlighted those sparkly white teeth when he smiled. It's no wonder men liked him as much as women did. Who could resist those long eyelashes? But right now, I wanted to avoid those eyes. He was my best friend, but he could be judgy sometimes. Jonathan, you know the deal with that. We discussed it. I'm doing surprisingly well. I'm not letting any of them enter my home, destroy my peace, or block my blessings. I promise not to mess with them anymore. It's time to just do my own thing, and the next man I let in will be someone I love and available to just me. Convincing myself was probably harder than convincing him. Yeah, Keep telling yourself that that dude might gonna come around, sweet talking and swinging that dick, and then there you go. Anyway, what if one of your casuals decides to kick my ass for shooing him away? This time, he was the one that couldn't maintain eye contact. He was more than just bothered by this. Well, us big girls are hard to resist. I slowly swayed my hips back and forth, hoping to ease the tension Jonathan was stirring up. I wasn't uncomfortably big, but I had some thick ass thighs, slightly smaller waist, and large breasts. Thank you for having my back on this. I was grateful for his support, regardless of how he felt about it. Jonathan thought he knew everything about me, but he found out that wasn't the case. Self control didn't come easy for me. It was as if I depended on men to fulfill my empty spaces. That's it.
Which I have to say, first off, I won't say the number, but this is our highest viewed episode so far this season. You've
Yay.
had some love in the comment section, which I was sharing throughout your reading. So you have some fans, which I want to share with Black Writers Read community on Amazon. Her book reviews are very good. So please buy this book.
Yes, what surprised me for me, my debut novel. So yeah, my debut book. Yes.
Yes, you have so much to be proud of.
I am. I'm proud, and it's surprising because I'm 48, and this is kind of late for me to get started, but I love it.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you're writing. So I want to start off the conversation today by asking, when did you discover your literary voice and that you should be writing?
So I've always been a reader, and I always just to escape my everyday life. And as time went on, I did audiobooks because my life is so busy. But when I was always asked, "What's your dream job?" I always would be like, "Writer, writer." And then one day I said, "Let me just take it seriously." So it's been a few years that I decided to take writing seriously, and I have some stuff in the works, but I didn't finish. And I said, you know what? Let me write about someone I know, someone fun. And this is when I discovered in my literary voice was when I actually started writing her because, I had to write about something that someone I knew, right? So it hasn't been that long. It's only been a few years and 3 or 4 years that I decided, you know what? Let me write something. 'Cause I could do this. This is fun. So it's only been 3 or 4 years.
I didn't realize that because you have an amazing skill, and this is a question that I'm going to ask later, but you have such a great skill of like taking the reader on the journey of your main character through the main character's experience, because there's like first person narrative, second person narrative, and the third person narrator where we're watching the journey but through someone else's eyes. And I'm like,
Mhm.
you have such a gift. It feels like you've been writing a lot longer than 3 to 4 years. I thought you would have been writing a lot longer than you have.
Well, I mean, I've always been someone to formulate stories in my head. And I'm the one that talks to themselves in the shower and, make up stories and be like, well, this should happen and this. So I always had that voice, you know, but it was just a matter of sitting down and putting it on paper. And with my procrastination thing, I never thought I would be able to even finish it. But I've always been writing stories, just writing stories in my head, in my mind. So they're there. And now they're on a big folder on my computer. But it's always been a passion for me and just living life, that escape. So
Yeah. And speaking of that escape, I love that this is spicy women's fiction. The
mhm.
only other Black woman author that I know doing this type of writing, like I think she would define herself in another category, but I think they're very related, is Zane.
Mhm.
And Zane is extremely mainstream. Zane is very well selling. This is why I'm like, we got to get your book out there, and also too getting people to adapt this into a film and other media, because like there's not too many of you that I know of that are Black women doing this type of writing.
Mhm.
So I would love to hear from you directly. What is spicy women's fiction, and what drew you to this genre?
Well, I used to love watching Zane, by the way. Like that was my guilty
Yes.
pleasure at night when the kids go to bed, you know. But but what drew me to this was, like I said, I wanted to write about someone I knew, and I was listening to audiobooks and would read books, and I felt like the characters were always, there were good characters, but that was just the point. They were good. Like,
Mm.
besides from not moving with their relationships fast enough, and always like fighting off the guy, no, no, no. To me that wasn't real. To me, I feel like people are not that perfect and not that guarded. Real people are like Leisha. So spicy women's fiction, I said, well, we have our issues, and it's a women's fiction. The foundation of the story is personal growth, resilience, and love, and which are the hallmarks of women fiction. But the mature scenes and themes is what kind of made it more real for me. Um, and I was drawn to it because of listening to audiobooks and then having to escape. But spicy women fiction kind of gave people something they needed. I needed some spice. You can only listen to someone self help and trauma and stuff for so long. You need something to kind of break that up, put some spice in it, put some real life in it. We all live spicy lives, but we just got to sit and think about it in retrospect and be like, yeah, you know what? My life was spicy and I just didn't know it. So that's what drew me to write. It was just to find something that I can identify with. Women's fiction, love it. Want to write with women, write about women for women, but I just need the spice. And the spice is, I think, what would draw the reader in more of my fan base.
Yeah, and I also want to share like why I'm really drawn to this genre and the way that you write. Not to give away the books because I want people to read them, but like what really drew me in were the very like clear descriptions of how Black your characters are physically, like the complexion, the build, and all of that. And that's something I feel like we're missing in a lot of literature. I actually
Mhm.
had a guest on not too long ago who talked about we don't really get the realness of characters in literature. We get like they don't go to the bathroom, they don't do all of these things, and we don't really get a clear sense of what they actually look like in their existence. And then also, I'm not gonna lie, the sex scenes drew me back to, and I don't know if you remember this, but my husband got me the DVD collection, which is hard to find, for Christmas last year, the series Soul Food,
Mhm.
and that was on Showtime. And the thing that I absolutely loved about that series, I mean, it was good in general, but the sex scenes, it like you had a mix of very explicit, you had a
Mhm.
very like sense of romantic, but the thing that really drew me in was that it felt like the characters when they were in the moment not only consented to being there, but they took a lot of like risk when it came to okay, what move am I going to make with the character, what gesture I'm going to, it felt like the sex scenes feel more real and authentic. And then centering the woman's pleasure, like I remember at the beginning of For the Love of Lee, like how like Mike grabbed her legs and all these things. And so that's another reason what really draws me to this genre and the way in which you write about the genre, because you center um Black women and black people's, and this is why I don't like to censor on the series, like climaxing and the actual pleasures of sex, not the act. but the
Yes.
pleasures of sex
I
are
feel like
there.
black people are very intense lovers.
Yeah, yep.
We're very intense lovers, and that's what I wanted to bring across in some of my sex scenes or love scenes. I should say, Mama's watching, and just the you know the intensity of it all, like how a black man is with you. They not they worship you and they want to treat you all great, but honey, when it's time, it's like these hands is gonna be firm,
Yes.
So that's what I wanted to, the realness of it all is what I wanted to bring to the forefront of the love scenes, because sometimes I would read love scenes, I'd be like, okay, all right, now I have to picture this and make it more spicy for me to even just be like, oh yeah, I like him. So I was like, I didn't want them to have to work too hard to picture it. I wanted to just, hey, here it is, give it, there it is. This is what happened, and this is how it happened.
Yes, and also too, it has moments that I want to bookmark and just return to when I need those moments.
Yes, I have those. I have.
Be like, when I need a moment to myself, I'm gonna need to go to page
Yeah, that
39.
number on the audio book, you'd be like, what number is this? 253. Yeah, I'm gonna say that one.
Yes.
I need to listen to that over again.
Yes. So, For the Love of Lee was published earlier this year in July. It is the second book of the Lee series, but it's your debut novel. So, my question is, which I learned today, be like I was today years old when I found out the ebook that is available on your website, The Year of Lee, that's the first of the series, but you made it available as a free ebook. So your debut novel is For the Love of Lee. So I would love to know, and this is because I sent questions prior, so I'm changing this a little bit. I would love to know why you chose to publish and release publicly your second book of the series, but then the first book of the series is available for free on your website.
Okay, so For the Love of Lee was like my guilty pleasure. It was going to be a standalone. It was going to be a standalone. So I just write by the seat of my pants. I'm not a big planner. So it was going to be a standalone. And as I start writing the characters, you know, some of the characters I fell in love with, and I was like, you know, I want more of them, but I need in a background story. And plus, a lot of the readers they don't know who I am, and so I did want to give them something free to read, The Year of Lee. And as for the Love of Lee, it was released first because that was gonna be my first book. I didn't know it was gonna be a series. I did not know. But Mike, the married man, I need to know more about him, And I said, and then Jonathan, I need to know more about why does he look at Lee like that. So and I felt like the people that did read For the Love of Lee, they wanted more too. They wanted more background story too. So I was just gonna do a little quick background. But once I started writing The Year of Lee, I was like, oh my God. Like, did I say this was gonna be a free ebook? Because this is so good. But I said, I'm gonna keep to my word. It is good. But I'm gonna let it be the start. So once you get into The Year of Lee free ebook, you know who I am then. You can get For the Love of Lee and The Betrayal. But that's why I put it out, because I didn't know. I'm not a big planner, is my problem. But this came out perfect. It came out perfect. And I feel like with each book, my writing did improve. So putting The Year of Lee out afterwards, I think it was a good idea because I feel like it was so much better. I kind of went into depth a little bit more, and just each book your writing does improve. So it was just an accident, honestly.
But it was a great accident. And I also think
Yes.
too, what I love about it, and this goes into my next question, I think you allow Leisha to be born rather than to dictate what her life looks like,
Yes.
which is what
Yes.
I love so much.
Yes.
So yeah, so I love Black women main characters. So I would love for you to share a little bit more about your protagonist, and thank you for choosing the section that you did that you read because it gave us a lot of background on her. So
Hmm.
tell us a little bit more about Leisha Roberts. How did you create this character and how will she evolve in the book series? I also would love for you to share more background on her physical stature, as for me. It was lovely to see a character of this body type as the center of a story.
Well, Lisa Roberts is everything women love and hate, about ourselves. And I wanted to create the character that was so deeply flawed, but likable. She's constantly juggling what she wants and what she needs and what she craves, and she craves attention, and that's her kryptonite, that attention, and that gets her every time. So she wants to be loved and have commitment, but also scared of it and scared of rejection at the same time. So that is that's not that's her problem. She deals with men that aren't necessarily available to her, and that is her safety net, is dealing with the wrong men, because she knows it ain't finna work out. But we all know when we deal with men, you think you're gonna let them go, but honey, you're not finna you ain't finna let them go, not like that. So that is Leisha. She's just trying to find the balance between what she wants and what she needs and what's good for her and what's not. She does in the series evolve to a mother and a wife and all of that.
Mm.
And she realizes that um, as she evolves, that she plays her role well. Like, I am I am single. I'm doing what a single woman does. I'm out there. I'm in a relationship. I'm doing what I do in a relationship, you know. And then she goes, okay, in the betrayal, eventually she does get married and have children. I am a wife, but her core never changes. We play these roles in our life, but our core, who we are, never really change. So with Leisha, all of this stuff keeps creeping back, the insecurities and the need for attention, and her mind plays tricks on her about what she needs and what she wants. And someone from the past comes into her life, throws her off. But I wanted to make her a bigger, but physically she has issues, body wise, physically, because she does cope with a lot of her issues with food. So, and being naturally a bigger woman and beautiful, she is aware, and is in a constant battle with her weight. But I just wanted to write someone like me, just a bigger woman. And I like reading stories with women that are bigger. Like, I can't relate when a woman goes on a 6 mile jog in the story. I'd be like, I could put this down, because, really, yeah, I cannot relate to that. And I can't relate when they go to the gym every morning and they work out for 2 hours before they go to work. I can't relate. So those are not the books are the characters I gravitate towards. So I wanted to write a bigger woman. I ain't going to no gym, and that's why I'm the size I am. And I'm not doing all those things, but I still have fun, and I still have relationships and stuff like that. So that's why I wrote her in a bigger woman, because I feel like more women can relate to her, because we are so busy in our life that, not that our health and our body take a back seat, is that we're just real. And I wanted someone to see someone that not only acts like them, deals with the same issues they deal with, but also looks like them, you know. So that's why I wrote her as a bigger character that like loves attention. and
Yes. Plus,
gets
yeah, and also I'm going to be honest because I'm a bigger woman too. It makes a lot of the sex scenes a little more real and
yeah,
authentic
juicy.
because I'm like, if it were a twig of a woman, I'm like, this scene, they will end up in the ER based
Exactly.
on this particular like position. Like,
Uh, right, right. It's like, hey, I like to show the strength in my man too. Like, look, he's strong. He picked that leg up. Hey,
yes.
he handled that, right? So I like the realness of it because as a big woman, when you get handled a little bit, you be like, okay, wait, you strong,
Yes.
just I'm married, so I don't want to have too much fun about that. But yes, but I just thought it would be fun to write a bigger woman, and because people look at us and they don't think stuff like that happens. Like, oh,
Mhm.
she just yeah, she married, but whatever. Yeah, we get the juiciness of it all. Like we get we have fun. You know.
Yeah, I know I definitely have fun.
Yeah.
And for folks, the next question that I have, and I want to preface why I'm about to ask this particular question. So, for folks who are new, because I have a lot of people who are watching Black Writers Read for the first time. I'm an educator. I teach college writing, college literature, arts management, and theater. And one of the books that I teach is Their Eyes Are Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. And it's really important for me to teach that book because of how it frames the African American experience and also the coming of ageness of the Black woman character. The issue, though, gonna put it out there, but like James Baldwin says, the things that we love, like the US and all that, we, hold them more accountable. the
Mm-hmm.
the issue that I do have with Their Eyes Are Watching God, given that this is such a pivotal coming of age story for a Black woman character at the turn of the century and post Reconstruction and post slavery, and we're watching her gain her agency, autonomy, and her voice. Her character is written in the third person. I'm like, why can't we follow her journey through her eyes? Why does it have to be like the book even opens narrating a scene where like the narrator is an outsider saying, well, she does this and she does, and I'm like, okay. And I'm like, Miss Hurston, I love you so much. I understand that you are, an anthropologist and all these things. However, given how important this book is to the culture and to the canon, I would have loved to have experienced Janie Crawford through like first person narration. And
Right.
so I think this is what makes your books even more powerful is that Leisha is guiding us on her journey. It is first person. We get her vantage point throughout the entire book, which is very important. So, why was it important to you to write in first person? And why was it important for Leisha to guide readers through her journey and through her thought process?
It was important to write Leisha in first person because she could easily be someone that is not likable.
Mm.
You know, she could easily be someone, if you just write what she's doing and who she's doing it with, it you'd be like, you know what, I don't like this lady. It's important that you know what is going on in her mind, and it's important that you know that she knows she's not always right, and that she knows that she shouldn't be doing this or should be doing that. But the thought process, but it doesn't stop her from doing anything. And it's important for you to know that and to hear her make comments like when I wrote, why is his feelings so much more important than mine? Stuff like that. Because how she responds to things would not would not be like how sometimes we would respond. We'd be like, hey, cut it off, let's go. But you need to know how she thinks. And it's important. Her decisions are so flawed that it's easy for people not to like her. It's easy for her to piss someone off in this book. But
Mm.
once you read her thought process and read it through her eyes, a lot of people like her. A lot of people end up really liking her. And I'm thinking, and it surprised me, like, you like this mess? Like, she's a mess. She's doing everything that you would not want your friend to be doing, you know? So it's important that you see it from her point of view so you know why she does what she does. And to make her I guess, really likable,
Mhm.
because I didn't write her like a likable person, but when you read it through her eyes, she's likable, because you understand her, you know.
And for me, this just proves your response proves like, yes, I, produce Black Writers Read for other people, but as a writer, I get so much from my guests, and these are like master
Mhm.
classes for me where I just share it with other people. So just quickly before going to the next question, so I'm in the process of writing my very first short story, and it's about a messy Black woman, and I've had people read it, and they're like, "Oh my God, Trisha, I hate her. She is unlikable." And it's right now written in third person. And so I actually may change the narration on it to
Yes.
give her a little bit more freedom and a little bit more looseness so that people can, and also some modes for self-reflection, because I
Yes.
that might make her more relatable, because right now people have read it and gave me really good feedback. They're like, Trisha's a horrible person, and I'm like, okay. And she's very messy, and I'm like, I want to keep her messy, but
Yes.
there needs to be a rationale for her messy. And your
Exactly.
response, yeah, just gave me a lot to think about for that character. So thank you.
Yes. You have to find the excuse of why they're messy. You got to give them the excuse.
Yes. So Jonathan,
Yes.
Jonathan, I will say I know a Jonathan. I know a Jonathan. I've known this Jonathan. I won't say who it is, but I've known this Jonathan for several decades. So
Mhm.
Jonathans exist. So Jonathan is Leisha's best friend and plays an important role in For the Love of Lee. I think it's an amazing choice to have him like live close to her and kind of be, I won't give it away, but be kind of like that person for her, especially given how self reflective she is about the types of men she's been with.
Mhm.
So, can you share a little bit more about Jonathan and why you chose to make him? I hope you're not giving away a book, but why
Oh.
you chose to make him a bisexual man?
So originally, I wrote him as a gay male,
Mm.
but since I just write by the seat of my pants, I kept throwing in chemistry between her and Jonathan, the looks, the little comments, the little conversations, and the little feelings that Alicia would get when they, would talk, even though he's her best friend. And I was like, why am I throwing all this chemistry in here? He's gay. He don't want her. And I said, you know what? But he does, because he's bisexual. That's how that happened.
Yes.
Um, but he is her best friend, and he is almost like he kind of holds up the mirror to her. You know, he is like, look, he's not, he can be, she calls him judgy, but he's like, look where you're at, and look why you're there. That's Jonathan's role in her life. He does it in a nice, gentle way, and he cares about her feelings a lot, but his caring about her feelings kind of inhibits him from really giving her the truth, but he gives it to her, about her mess. But I needed him to be a bisexual man because Leisha doesn't have a lot of girlfriends. She listens to men. Leisha Leisha deals
Oh.
with men. She has a girlfriend, Michaela, that's close to her, but I think to have a man that is not playing a role of being a bad guy, doing her wrong, and doing all this was important in the book. And
Mm.
the fact that, like I said, he was going to be just the gay best friend, because I think it would have been fun. But I think that just the chemistry, and she would take his advice more seriously because of what could be between them. Also, I'll just give a wink, wink on that. And
Yeah.
but what's not, because he's her mirror, he's her realness. and
Mm.
she and she talks, I don't know why she relates to men a lot, and why she needed the him next door, but that's just how it came out, honestly.
Mm.
But he's like a mirror to her. He's like, you see this, and he's next door, because he's not someone she can run away from, she can hide from. she can't hide her mess from him because he knows, you know, and he will
Yes.
confront her with it, in a nice way, but it will be there.
I love, oh my God, I love that. And yeah, you've given me again more to think about when I'm developing my own character. So thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm glad. I'm so glad.
Mm. Yes. So before we wrap up, I have a couple more questions. I would love to know about your writing process. What is your writing routine? When do you write, and who are other authors that inspire you?
Okay. So, like I said, I just write by the seat of my pants. I'm a pantser, I just go. Um, I I'm not a planner. I just you know, so that's how I am. I work a full-time job during the daytime, and I have my youngest son, he has special needs, so I take care of him. So I don't get to write till he goes down for bed. So I am the late night. You see my post like 2 o'clock in the morning. I start writing at like 10 at night. So that is the time I write. And I just go for it. And like I said, I think about my ideas, maybe taking a walk or in the shower. They just come to me, or I dream about them, or I lay in bed and think about them. So that is where my ideas come from. As for other writers, I haven't got a chance to read a lot, but I do audiobooks. I just recently finished The Curvy Girl Summer because I like a little mess like by Danielle Allen. I That was a fun book for me to listen to. Of course, I listened to the Kennedy Rise because I was like, "What? I want to know what's going on," because everybody loves her. So I listened to her books, love it. But now that I'm taking a break from writing just for a little bit after this. I really want to read. I follow Rita Gordon on TikTok and Monica Cox. So I'm just itching. I'm just itching to read their stuff. Like I just, I'm just ready. And black romances. That's what I want to read, and that's what I'm looking forward to reading now. And a lot of the authors I follow, I'm just like, I have a list that I'm going to read when I take a break. But I don't like to read or listen to books too much while I'm writing because I don't want their voice to go into my voice,
Mhm.
because I started listening to Curvy Girl Summer while I was in the middle of writing The Year of Lee. And I said, wait a minute, I got to stop this.
Mm.
So, yeah. So I need to get back into it. But as for inspiration, I'm just inspired by just anybody that writes black romance
Mhm.
books. There's no one particular name I
Mhm.
can really say because I'm so busy. I There was a while I was into all the Eric Jerome Dickies. I was
Oh,
girl. There was a while I had to just listen to all of those, and
nice.
and I like him,
Mhm.
because he just reading his stuff helps me break down my little wall of like, I shouldn't put that. That's just too much. It's not too much. You just read him. It's not too much.
Nice.
So yeah, you know.
Yeah, you're the second author that I've had on that looks to Eric Jerome Dickey for inspiration.
Mm,
He is an important writer to the canon, so thank you for tipping the hat that way.
mhm,
Prior to having our guests on Black Writers Read, we ask each of them why they write. Here's what you offered. I write to provide a quick escape for people who live busy, stressful lives. I also love highlighting the not so perfect human behavior everyone can relate to, but does not like to admit. To be an author during this time is significant because the political and social climate has people needing to disconnect to preserve their sanity. Not gonna lie. There is more emphasis on self awareness and coping with things within and out of our control. Creating relatable characters can offer people the disconnection they need while seeing themselves and others. It's important to share my work because I love providing entertainment and want people, especially women, to know they are not alone. We sit in self judgment and doubt too often. I believe my work provides valuable insight into the human experience and allows for the grace we should give ourselves. Oh my God, yes. So, what advice do you have for other Black women authors who want to explore spicy women's fiction right now during this time? And what are some topics you'd like to explore in your writing over the next few years?
So, advice I would give to Black women authors who want to write spicy women fiction is one, it's not too much. Just write it. Just write it. Get it down on paper, and try to create some depth in your character. You can't just give spice. I just think each of these characters needs some depth because readers want to know the whys. They want to know why this person is doing what they're doing. It's fun to read, but why? People read for more than just that. So that is, what I would say, just to try to give your character a little depth. You don't have to. My character always have a lot going on, more than one thing going on, but just have your character navigate through something that people can relate to. Is what I would suggest. But also bring the spice. And if you want to write it, and it sometimes I write stuff and you're like, it's just way too much. It's not too much. Like it's not too much. Trust yourself. Really trust yourself and put it down on paper. That's what you should, just trust yourself. You may not be for everyone, but you are for someone. There are people out there that will like what you write. Other topics that I would like to explore in my writing. I do want to write in other genres. Um, so I do have other stuff kind of started. I actually have some women's fiction. You can open it up to a lot of things, honestly. Um, I do want to explore like some mystery stuff, and actually my first book I really was writing was about a woman in the middle of a breakdown. So mental health is big for me. In that. Actually, mental health touches on in the betrayal that touches on some mental health because Leisha does go through some postpartum depression. But mental health is big, and just um, trying to get rid of the shame in that. So the shame in mental health, and just living life as someone that does need maybe a little medicine, maybe a little anxiety pill, maybe a little depression. But mental health is big. Like I said, mystery, and I'm just gonna open my door to whatever comes to me. I'm gonna try it, and I have a great editor who will let me know if it was working or not. So Chloe keeps me online, but keeps me in track. But yes, it's the year is gonna be, I don't know, but I'm excited. I have a lot to write, but I'm just gonna just leave my options open. And like I said, trust myself. Like I'm telling everybody, trust myself to write something good, and hopefully people love it. And that's all I do want people to like my writing, but not more than I want to like my own writing. If you don't like your own stuff, then that is really gonna dampen, what you put out there.
Yeah, and thank you for opening up writing about mental health. Two things. I'm proudly on Zoloft. I have
Hey,
I am maybe like fifth or sixth generation in my maternal lineage with mental health issues. And mental health is something that I want to explore in my writing
yes,
at some point. I have been scared to because just quickly, my mom suffered from a lot of mental illness things, and that was the thing that ended her life when she was really young. And so I know mental health is huge with Black women, and I
yes,
do want to find a way to like honor my mom, honor myself in mental health, and then also honor others. But I just haven't been brave enough to tap into that yet because of the
mm,
grief and all that stuff. So, yeah, so thank you for wanting to explore mental health.
yeah. That's a big thing.
Mhm. Yeah. And so Is there anything else besides what you've shared just recently next for you? And how can the Black Writers Read community support you on this journey?
Well, one, go to my website and just look at that free ebook, The Year of Lee. And just, I will keep everybody up to date on, what I'm putting out there. My website is jenniferjanell.com. And For the Love of Lee is out there. And The Betrayal is coming very soon. My editor just got back my developmentals
Oh,
edit. So it's getting out there. But just, I really like the encouragement. I mean, this social media thing, I went into it unwillingly. I did not did not want to do it, but I really get a lot of support from other authors, and I really appreciate that. And just I will put out when I have something coming out, and just I support others like they support me, and just you know keep me in mind. And this is great. I love listening to all the authors you interviewed. I had to go through every interview you did after I found out I was going to be on. I was like, let me see. But it's just great. I feel like I'm getting a lot of support from other authors, a lot of encouragement already. So yeah, just stay up to date. I'll try to keep people up to date, even though I'm not great on social media. I'll try to keep people there.
We could do that. We could do the social media thing for you, which I wanted to share with folks because I actually bought the Kindle version of the book because thank you holiday shopping, the book would have gotten here too late, and I just wanted to show people how beautiful this cover is. Fucking gorgeous! Like, oh my god! Like,
Yes. Actually, I am a self-published author, but Make Your Mark Publishing with Monique Mensa, she actually helped me with my book covers. So yes. So she is awesome. Yeah, so and when I gave her all these ideas how I wanted my book cover to look, but then I said, you know what? Make sure tell the designer I'm open to anything. And that was the first one they came up with, aside from adding some rose petals and stuff in the end, but whatever. But that's the first they came up with, and then they came up with other mock-ups later. But I always went back to that first one. I was like, oh my gosh, yes. So that's how that one came about, because I was open.
yeah.
And I noticed my book does not look like a lot of the books out there, and I was like, wow, did I make a mistake? But I love it. And the Year of Lee is just a silhouette of her body, with the same color scheme. And the Betrayal is just more of her body and her face. It's just, I love the whole series. The book covers are awesome.
Nice, because that was the like besides it was like a coupling of the description and then the cover. The cover was like, oh, the cover is
Yes.
gorgeous.
Yes. I love it.
And speaking of gorgeous, before we sign off, I want to highlight your author's photo. Gorgeous. I was like, wow, like it is a gorgeous photo.
You know what? I'm going to tell you a little secret on that. My daughter took that picture. She's 22
Really?
years old. I went on, I said, let me give me a little background. And then she fixed me up, and she said, and I was trying to be all, she's like, you doing too much. She taught me how to pose, because those young girls, those 20-year-olds, they know. So she took that photo for me, and she took all of my headshots for me. Yes.
What? It
So
was
yeah,
in
Shayla did it.
studio. Wow.
She did it. Yeah. And I was like, because they were like, we need your headshot for your book. And I was like, I was honestly, I have to say, I wasn't feeling good about myself, my weight. And I was like, I don't want to be paying nobody to take a picture of all this. And, I want to have some control of how my pictures look. So I said, and she was like, I'll just take your picture. I can do that. So I was like, so she did it. And I was shocked because I thought I was going to have to be like, thank you, but no thanks, and go find somebody else to do it. But she did a good job.
She did an amazing, like, but also too, I think people who know you very well and have the talent can capture you so beautifully. She did
Yes.
amazing job.
Yes, she did. She did.
So Jennifer, Janell, thank you so much
Thank
for
you for having me.
for
My
being
very first interview.
and thank you for that gift, for trusting me as your first interview.
Yes.
Yes. So I'm gonna take you off and I'm gonna do a little bit of wrap up, and then you and I, once I end the broadcast, you and I can touch base a little bit more.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you
Thank
so
you. Bye, everyone.
much. So thank you so much for joining me for episode 12 of season 5 of Black Writers Read. Excuse me, I'm getting over a bout of bronchitis. Everyone who's been following this podcast for the past 5 years, y'all know certain times a year my cough comes back. I'll be back in early January with our first guest of 2025. Stay tuned to Black Writers Read on Instagram at Black Writers Read and on my YouTube channel for announcements for our next guest. Support Black Writers Read by subscribing to my YouTube channel, where many of you are joining us from today. Also, please support me by going to the audio podcast, which is available on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. When you're there, drop a review and subscribe and tell everyone else. By supporting me in this way, you're helping to grow the community and also leading to longer term sustainability for the platform. Also, make sure, because I have a lot of new people that are joining me today, be sure to find Black Readers, the award-winning podcast Black Writers Read online at blackwritersread.com. So thank you all for joining me this afternoon, and more importantly, for ensuring that Black authors continue to matter. Happy holidays, happy Kwanzaa, and I will see you in 2025.